A very good morning. I had a nice adventure coming here. हम लोग मथुरा पहुंचने ही वाले थे, सर थे हमारे साथ. मथुरा पहुंचते पहुंचते मेट्रो लेके यहाँ पे रन करके आ गए. So we made it on time, thankfully. So maybe next 10 minutes, I write poetry in English. And the poetic journey has started about 5-6 years ago. I'm a physician. I used to write only medical blogs, but now I have moved away from that. And I mean, I'm still practicing physician, and poetry comes purely out of passion when I feel like. So over the next 10 minutes, as Madam allowed, I would like to take you, I've curated some poems. So I will take you on a journey from faraway Himalayas to within ourselves. So the next 3 to 4 poems will be our journey from Himalayas to here. So the first poem is called Faraway House in Himalayas. Why Himalayas first? Because I totally love them. I go yearly on trekking. The inspiration to write poetry started when I look at those majestic mountains. So here goes about a faraway house in Himalayas. Houses built to last, weathers every epoch. Memories of winter are tough to erase. Long winters are the norm. Yarn too have gone worn. Warm woolens do thaw the soul. Do you remember the fireplaces? Fireplace once had witnessed tales of wild women who laughed around the fire. Windows closed now were once open, welcoming the spring blooms under the aegis of Himalayas. How does one feel? Perhaps a vicarious thrill. You need to live a lifetime to become one with the mountains. Breathe the fresh winds, smell the fragrance of forest, hear the call of birds, dance like wildflowers, drink those glacial cold waters, sing the song of silent mountains. I go on a yearly pilgrimage, for I can't live the old habits of a chaotic city lights. That day in a year I go, I witness the recklessness of mountain weather, like a young man who refuses to grow, wild, windy a moment, sunny and breezy the next, showering with snow love and playfully throwing a hailstorm. All this in a day. Can I be this reckless and at peace like mountains? Futile goodbyes I bid to mountains, but it's a best friend who never disappoints, leaves me with sublime memories. Back to chaotic city lights, I gingerly walk into my home. A familiar comfort clothes me, but these mountains have gone into tiny crevices. I think of faraway houses built to last forever. I did recall, what did I see in front of the house? Tiny sprouts at the entrance. That was the faraway house of Himalayas. Now that we came from Himalayas, I'm back to the city. So this is a poem about city stories. So I just witnessed the craziness of our Delhi metro just now, taking. So it came in an experience, handy experience. So this is about the city stories. I drove through the city much late in the night, 0 hour to be precise. Gentle drizzle continuing after the initial pounding. At the steering, alone and quiet, breathing too was hush. Radio in the car felt afar, obscure language I don't recognize but melodious. Watching city at dark hour looked at ease and gentle. Feels different city within city. People not so in hurry, glowing lights like fireflies, blinking, hopping and disguise. It has its own cadence. Alive for those nocturnals, I sighed, city never sleeps. A drunk wobbles, screech as I brake the car. That's city at night. Another time, I drove early in the morning, much earlier than sunrise, where an honest dawn was waiting to stretch. City, in fact, sleeps, I thought. Invisible people are visible. Street sweeper at the horizon brooms. There's a flower vendor on the cycle with his blooms. There's a vegetable vendor just setting up his harvest. a lone walker with his crisp stride, and footpaths while lying around. Here I spot a guy with a heavy backpack. He bends forward, asks for lift. Now I'm curious, I wait to see, as if the entire universe slowed down and paused to fulfill his wish. A red bus stops and lets him in. Would this happen in busy daylight? Feels different city within city, city at daybreak. In the stillness of chaos, cities have elements, cities have liberty. They belong to none, yet to everyone. Cities pause and rest, perhaps never shuts, to those in need. I wish to loiter around these cities and fall in love with its ambiguities. I drive away with my silly thoughts, child sleeping on my car lap. Day breaks and so do I, halt and home arrives. So we see city in different light at different times, so just try to bring that. So as the journey goes on, this is a very personal journey. The next poem is called Stranger. So what if you had known me long ago? Now I'm scarred with wounds of trauma, shatters of abuse and drama, floundering guilt and shame, walked through the hell, lost in whirlwind of emotions. What if you have known me long ago, when I laughed silly and loud, smelled the fallen flowers, painted a house next to God, because why not? Spoke of dreams like real, cantering away joyously in the moment mojo. What if you had known me long ago? I recall the bruised wounds, nursing them carefully with love and nurture, poetry and coffee. People called me brave and strong. They said, curve of your smile is the grace, they said. But who was I before I knew the battlefield, before I knew I was walking on mines, before the wounds were inflicted, before the words became poetry, before I realized to live is to survive the ways of this world? What if you had known me long ago when there were no wounds or there were raw wounds, when there were scars, some healed and some not, when there was no poetry, when there were no words or no rhyme, when there were no tears, just the tranquil silence? Would you love me then or would you love me now? Am I a stranger now or then? So I think with each of our journey or our wounds we change. So are we a stranger now or back then? So next is a poem called Letter. This is based on a lot of patients who become they develop Alzheimer's, they develop neurological diseases, they forget themselves. So based on this, I've written a letter. So this is a letter a caregiver is writing to their loved ones. I wrote a letter like the olden days. No instant messages, no blue ticks. I wrote because you were away. Reasons known yet fateful. Did you read my last letter? Not last, first one actually. Did your hands tremble touching it? It trembled with tears as I wrote it. Were my words a piercing sword? If words had weight, they were dense like earth, burdened yet carrying with might. Sweet talk, you must have smirked. Life wasn't always a prison, neither an escape mission. It was a sanctuary of love. Skewed, distorted, even unfair. Waves of the ocean do rise and fall. It's a turbulence or dance, perspectives we can't escape. I wrote of our 7-hour intimacy, 7 hours intertwined nakedness, dreams laid out like fluffy clouds, clouds of love and union spoken. Didn't we make a vow that way, that day, to be forever together till eternity ends? I wrote of scorns and disdains, yet there was an air of laughter. It was an invisible shield of a tiny little beehive. Beehive, do you know of beehive? Beehives, they say, have boundaries which keep them safe. I too guarded our boundaries, not knowing boundaries can be breached from inside. I wrote of increasing strangeness, loathed the indifference, not knowing you felt the same, of an unfamiliar world, becoming unfamiliar. I wrote of my journey into your beautiful mind till the neurons zigzag rapidly into their own journey. What remains of me is this letters I write with the hope the words reach real you.
This will have to be the last one.
That last one, yeah. So the last one I would leave you with.
The one you have read
Is the last one? Okay. So the journey had to complete here. Thank you so much. Yeah.